I would love to maybe hear you introduce yourself briefly of, like what do you spend the most time doing? Obviously, we're going to talk about your personal business, but I know that most of the day is spent doing other things, specifically around real estate.
Yeah.
Also entrepreneurial in its own way, so not discounting that. But just high flyby, who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into kind of some of your story too. I'd love to hear some of the background.
So my name's Heath Besowshek. I am a realtor and I own a print business called Arkansas Profit Printing. I really split my time doing both. Both of them take a lot of my time.
Sure.
I consider myself a serial entrepreneur, so I'm always looking for different ways to, be a business, flipping stuff on eBay, flipping golf clubs and all that stuff. And been learning to play guitar, that's just hobby-wise. Big on health stuff, so going to the gym, taking care of my diet. Obviously, mental and spiritual health are huge as well. And then obviously I'm involved in my church. I serve our youth group, just a small group leader. That's a little bit.
That's awesome.
About me. Yeah.
I knew you in college briefly. I think you were a couple years behind me. And I don't know that we got to know each other well enough at that point for me to understand, your entrepreneurial drive. And maybe you didn't either. I don't know. I don't know where you were at your stage. Take me back to that moment where whatever stage of life it was, where you thought, this is what I really want to do. I really want to be an entrepreneur.
I think that there's always been a glimmer of it throughout my life. I remember in high school taking Dave Ramsey's financial peace class,
We did that too.
Yeah, and from that point on, I was like, I want to be a financial advisor. Like, I want to help people do this. And so I wanted to be a financial advisor, and then through college, got a job my first job was Walmart in college, and that also made me realize that I could not be in a 9-to-5 because I hated that job.
What Walmart?
It was the one on Skyline.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. There were some characters.
If you're from Conway, you know about that one for sure. Yeah.
And I know that that's an entry level job.
Right.
And I know that it's needed. But it was not for me.
Right.
I could not do it. And so I got an internship at Northwestern Mutual. That's a financial advising firm. And I did pretty well. I wasn't the top of my group, but I outperformed most. And I was enjoying it, but then I went on a San Diego summer mission trip. And because I was in San Diego and because I was 20 years old, I didn't work that much. And I lost a lot of momentum. In that industry, it's all referral based and you have to keep your momentum going. And I just wasn't working as much, and so I lost a lot of momentum. Didn't want to cold call at the time what I was selling was life insurance essentially.
Okay. You were building your own book?
Yes.
You're building your own book.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. And I could only do insurance at that time. Hadn't gotten to investments yet. And so they also changed how I got paid. They really incentivized. It was right after COVID, basically. And so they really incentivized going back to the office. And it was impossible for me to do it because I was in San Diego.
Right.
And so I wasn't getting paid the same as I was when I first started. And so I just stopped doing that and got a different 9-to-5 that was super boring, and I was at a computer. But when I quit Northwestern Mutual, I was kind of spiraling. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I've always been an all-in or all-out guy. And so financial advising was plan A through Z for me.
Sure.
And so I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I remember, my computer looking up, highest salaries for a finance major. There's financial analysts and, financial auditing, and there's all these.
And that's what you were as finance major at UCA? Okay.
Yes. And I was looking at all these jobs, and I just remember thinking to myself, I know that that's not, I won't be able to do that. Showing up to an office every day and just looking at my computer all day, having to report, I don't know. It just didn't interest me at all.
Yeah.
And so I've always wanted to invest in real estate.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I came upon guys like, there's a guy named Chris Crone, I think is his name, and just basically different influencers, entrepreneurial influencers. Alex Ramosi, I started watching his stuff, Gary Vee, all those guys.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, like I'll try real estate investing. Didn't know, I was 20 years old. I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
And got connected with the guy who used to own my brokerage, my real estate brokerage.
Okay.
He invests, he owned hundreds of properties at the time. So I just like cold messaged him on Facebook, like seeing if I could ask him questions about it.
Wow.
And he got coffee with me and basically sold me on being an agent, because that's how he got his money to invest. And so became an agent at that point. And I think just since graduating college, that I knew that this is what I want to do. Like, I want it in my own hands. I don't want to. I probably just have a problem with authority, but I just don't I don't love reporting to people. Like, I can, and I'm good at learning.
Yeah.
I'm
right,
teachable.
right.
But bosses, I just have a problem with bosses. And
Sure,
so
right.
I've had my boss has been great. I've never had an actual problem with them, but just something in me, I'm like, I just want to be in control of what I do. Like, if I don't make enough money, I want it to be my fault.
Right. Directly controlled by you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. And where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Missouri.
Missouri. Okay.
And so coming to Conway, Arkansas for college, I didn't know anybody. And so financial advising was hard because didn't know a soul.
Yeah.
I ended up getting my Missouri license and doing some stuff in Missouri. Real estate started off really hard because I didn't know anybody.
That's wild.
That's like a way bigger trust thing than
even financial
doing
advising.
a little bit of life insurance for someone.
Yeah.
And it's a way bigger purchase, so none of my friends could afford a house when I got licensed.
Right. Yeah.
And so I didn't know anybody who could buy a house or sell me their house, So I just had to grind to get my first business.
How did UCA or Arkansas in general come on the radar for you?
Yeah. When I was in high school, my stepdad got a job in Little Rock. He's in construction. And so my mom was going to obviously go with him. She stayed behind. He bought the house during my senior year, and she stayed behind while I finished my last year.
Okay.
And I hadn't decided on colleges yet. And so I was looking at stuff by my biological dad and then stuff by my mom here.
Makes sense.
And I really only looked at UCA here.
Okay.
If it wasn't UCA, I probably wasn't going to come here.
Gotcha.
Loved the campus. They gave me a lot more money than everyone else did. And they had the programs that I wanted. Like, I thought I was going to be going into MBA stuff because I wanted to do advising and all that, be a CFO, whatever.
Sure.
And just landed on UCA.
Okay. Wow. UCA was also the one that gave me the most money too. So
Yeah.
shout out UCA, go
Yeah.
Bears! Like, you guys.
I think they
you guys
still
rock,
give
but-
a lot of
Yeah.
scholarship money.
Yeah, I don't know who's bankrolling that, but yeah, I guess the taxpayer dollars get funneled to UCA somehow. I guess it is the taxpayer.
Shout out
dollars.
incoming sales tax.
Right. Oh God, no. That is so funny. Wow. So, yeah. So maybe I don't know. Like, and your parents, I guess, are in Little Rock now. So you
They work
spent
in
the
Little
last
Rock, yeah.
okay, or your stepdad, I guess, and mom.
Yeah.
I guess. And you guys have been here now since you kind of came to college.
6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how has that been for you? Like, building that network, like over the years, like what were the progressions of that? How do you feel now compared to like when you did then?
Yeah. So half of my time in Arkansas was in college, and so that time, I was gaining more friends,
Right.
but they weren't necessarily connections, I guess, that would.
They're very futuristic connections potentially
Yes,
of
yeah.
like customers in the
Yes.
future. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my
And-
brother. He's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
there you go, like a
Yes.
client that eventually came
Exactly.
through.
Yes.
like,
And I've sold a bunch of friends' houses
Sure.
from college
Right.
at this point.
right.
But I guess as far as building my network goes, I wasn't intentional at all in college about it. Like, I didn't consider it important, I guess. Like, I wanted friends, but I wasn't out trying to build a network of different people. And I don't blame college students for not doing that. Like, I was just, I was just vibing.
I mean, it's also not good to have like ulterior motives either when you're trying to get friends, right? Like, those people turn you off right away.
Yes.
You know how that is.
100%. 100%. And so when I graduated and I kind of got into business, I mean, I don't like using the word intentional, but I was just intentional about building my network and just getting to know people. Again, not with ulterior motives, but I know that if people don't know who I am, I'm not going to make any money.
Right.
And so
that's just the way
I just had to, I wanted to meet people, and I'm interested in people and what they do. I think that's the most important
you're adding
thing.
value. So,
Yes.
I mean, your offer is to add value, so like you can never apologize for that. I feel like, so.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think that's what it was, is I just purposefully built my network and just got to know people. And again, I want to be friends with people.
Right.
And so it wasn't hard for me once I tried.
Yeah.
So
we'll get into the profit printing later, more in detail. But like, what stage along the way then, in the last 6 years or so, did that come on the horizon for you? And how long have you been doing that? I guess
profit printing or
the profit printing. I mean, obviously the real estate has been something, if I understand you correctly, that's been kind of ongoing since 20 years old or about that time.
Yeah. So real estate started in 2022.
Okay.
When I graduated college, and then Arkansas profit printing started this year.
Okay.
Cool. So I'm not even a full year into that. Okay. And I started it because, I'm a realtor, and so I was like, a lot of realtors send out postcards, so let's look into this.
Right.
And it was just a lot of money for where I was at, and you have to do it consistently or else it's not going to work. And I just wasn't comfortable with the budget that I was going to have to spend on it. Wow. And so I've seen this concept, online and in other like different circles. And so I just figured, why not just get a bunch of businesses on the same one? They're all spending the same amount if they're sending mailers. And some of them are priced out completely because, coffee shops and all these small businesses are completely priced out of postcards.
Sure.
And so I figured I'll just get them all on one and I wanted it to be community focused so that it's not like marketing. Like, I don't want to send marketing material with this. I do want people to buy locally. And I saw a Facebook post yesterday of a local business going out of business, and they were closing down, and it's because not enough people know who they are, ultimately.
Right. At the end of the
day.
And
so that's kind of how I got into this. It was originally just a way for me to get, more affordable advertising, and it just kind of grew into its own.
I can see how it's if you need a postcard, and you can't pay the price that someone else is going to pay, why not just do your own kind of thing? And I can see the logic there is just like a natural outflow. That makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll come back to that. I really want to dig more into that, and that would maybe be our second episode. Going back to some of your entrepreneurial journey, and you mentioned jokingly that you may have a struggle with control or struggle with not control but bosses, authority, that type of thing. Yeah. All just aside, I'm curious about what make entrepreneurs tick, and I'm curious for you, like, what are a few things about your hardwiring, that you've learned about yourself along the, could be back to even when you were a kid, but maybe more recently too, of like, these are traits that really make me successful as an entrepreneur, or even have compelled me to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. How would you answer something like that?
Yeah. One thing is my imagination. Okay. Like I think I consider myself a pretty decent visionary, and I think that I can cast vision pretty well for myself and I think for others too.
Sure.
I can see things, like I can see how you can grow into different things, and I think that I'm creative. I think everyone is creative. I'm just choosing to funnel that into business specifically. Some people are creative in music or art or content, whatever. And I think that I can be creative in running a business.
Right.
And like, this is creative, different ways to sell real estate are creative. Like, I do live streams. Not very many people do that. And so there's things like that. I think I'm willing to do things that others just aren't.
Right.
For the sake of being embarrassed. I shot a video the other day that like everything is embarrassing when you're new at it, and I'm just okay with with going through that in order to to kind of break through. So
totally.
Those are a few things.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. In what ways? I mean, you spoke to this a little bit, but in what ways do you think you ended up where you thought you would end up? If we were going to rewind the tape to 15-year-old Heath in high school, versus where have you ended up where you never could have dreamed, kind of in some ways, where you found yourself?
Yeah, I think that when I was in high school, getting into financial advising, even into real estate, I didn't really imagine myself as a business owner.
Okay.
I've learned that when you're in real estate, you need to treat it like a business, or else it's not. I mean, it's hard to be successful if you don't treat it that way. But when I was in high school, I didn't think that I would own a business. I didn't think that I would, I didn't think that was an entrepreneur, honestly.
Right.
And as far as what I didn't expect, I told you that everything, I'm an all in or all out. And so both financial advising, real estate was the same way when I got into it. They were plans A through Z for me. And so in that way, I wasn't expecting me not to be successful at it.
Yeah. You had no option at some level. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that, I would say that's where I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting not to go through with my day one plans, which is crazy. I mean, anyone who sets goals or like has a plan, like it's rare that you just do the exact, it's rare you strike gold on the first one. So I'd say that's where I didn't expect it. And then also I didn't expect that owning a business would be like awesome. I've seen business owners in my hometown and here, and obviously it seems great because they're like, I mean, the ones that you see are successful and all that, but I've seen a lot of stories. I've seen the posts where the businesses are closing down, and so there's a statistic that like 80% of businesses fail, and so that I'm like, man, going into business is very scary, and so I didn't expect. I mean, anything can happen, but I'm doing well, and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it, and so I'd say I didn't expect that, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's making me think of like something that Ben said the other day. Ben Rowell, who was on the show a couple days ago, I think he was giving advice to the next generation entrepreneurs. I think I'd asked him a question about that, and he said, like, burn the ships, essentially. Like truly go all in, and then your acknowledgement of you're 100% in or 100% out. It's very reminiscent of even the way that I've described myself.
Yep.
I've done this. I've said the exact same thing, and it's a blessing and a curse.
Yep.
But I feel like in order to be successful in an entrepreneurial role, it's so much proactivity and self-starting.
Yes.
And not only just starting, but like continuing. That proactivity has to like you got to maintain some type of discipline over time. To see any results. And it's almost an obsession sometimes, where it can become unhealthy, and that's the unhealthy side of things, the shadow of it. But I do think I'm hearing in your story that like. In the same way, even talking to Z, who was also on the show, is for him it was like he had a kid, and things start to change. You know, like something happens in your life where you're like, I have no other option, or I'm not planning on any other option, and it gives you a fuel that you might not otherwise have. And so I hear that coming through for you too. So that's really cool. I would probably add that to the list of when you were saying characteristics or. The 100% in, 100% out, how able is a potential entrepreneur to do that, to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it sounds like, honestly, by God's grace, you've had a pretty successful journey, but we both know that there's like highs and lows, there's, challenges, setbacks, and wins at the same time. It's, when the buck stops with you, you feel the pain of all of that, unlike as being an employee where you can clock out and you can go home and not think about it.
Yep.
So do you have a particular moment that stands out as like a challenge, like a pretty major challenge of your journey in the past 4 or 5 years that sticks out, and then maybe a win, like one of your most proud wins as well, the contrast of those.
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge is exactly what you said. It's an ongoing one, and it's keeping at it. I mean, it's the discipline to do it every day and to be consistent. And because, like, I'm trying to think of how to word this the right way, but yeah, keeping at it is the hardest challenge, and deciding to do it every day, even when I don't want to, even when I'm tired. I can't call in sick.
Right.
I was at the dentist today, and they asked me if I was taking any time off, and I'm like, can't do that.
Classic. Yeah. Classic.
And because if you don't, you lose all your momentum, and
right.
I mean, you're back at ground zero, and you got to work even harder to keep it going.
Right.
And so that's the biggest challenge, is being consistent with it and doing it every single day. And I'd say the biggest win comes from, they come from me doing that.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if there's any moment that I'm like, oh man, this is, life-changing. But there's been times where I show up to the same networking group or something over and over with no return on it. Right. No one does business with me.
Right.
But then I show up the next week, and I meet someone that that does do business with me, or they refer someone to me, or whatever. Same thing with how I get clients. Like I'll post on social media, or I'll reach out to businesses or whatever, and with nothing, days at a time with nothing.
Right.
But then because I'm consistent, they reach out to me, or because I follow up with consistency, so different small wins just by being consistent.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm remembering too, back when I think you lived with my brother, and maybe it's still happening, I don't know, but I think you had a separate job that kind of paid the bills at one point. Have you been able to kind of fully go full time into? I'd love to hear you talk about that and the pros and cons of having a fallback on some level for just basic living expenses, because that's something that I admired about you at the time. I was like, how did you come across that job? How were you able to get a job like that was able to pay the bills, that you could work not full time at, by any means, but then build your business on the side?
Yeah.
That seems like the optimal way.
Yeah.
How do you speak to someone about that?
Yeah.
That experience?
So when I stopped the internship, I was looking for some way to make money in college. I had to do something.
Okay.
And I was dating someone, so I was like, man, I gotta pay for. Yeah, I was like, I gotta pay for dates and all that stuff. Yeah. And so I found a job. It was completely remote.
Okay.
And all I was doing was essentially scheduling job interviews for candidates.
Okay.
So they would apply. I would look through the resume, and if they were good to go, I'd send them on to the recruiter.
Okay.
And it was very, very part-time. It was very easy, but very boring and just tedious stuff. But it paid my bills. It paid, it paid for my rent and groceries and gas every month. And I got it, and after that, I got into real estate. So I actually had that job before I got into real estate.
Okay.
But I held on to it because I needed real estate to be consistent.
Sure.
And so I was doing that for a while, and eventually I got to a point where real estate was fine for me, but the job was so easy to do, and I could make, I got the job in college, but I was making, $1,200 a month or something, something like that. Nothing crazy, but again, I'm like, it'll pay for my rent and my groceries while I'm out trying to get the gravy. So I held on to it for a long time, and then I started this, print business, and decided that, first off, the meetings that I had were just inconvenient for me. Like, the timing was just bad.
Right.
They called on me, like I was essentially on call being remote. Like they'll message you whenever they want to. And just had, at the drop of a hat, had to go and do whatever they needed me to do. And it was just interfering with running a business. And so I just had to, and I was doing fine with this. So this, replaced it and then some. So I wasn't worried about it financially at that point. And so It was a huge weight because while it was a very easy job and it didn't take that much time, it was just inconvenient. It was a huge weight because it took up so much mental space in my mind of like, oh man, I hope they don't call me here, or I need to hurry up and get this done so that I can focus on this. Like I can't go all in unless I don't have this. It was always a goal of mine to quit it. And so quit that in March of this year. So I stopped doing that this year.
That is huge. I mean, I feel like that is a huge milestone as well in terms of wins and progress and those types of things. And it's a balance because I'm hearing you say, we talked about burning the ships, but there's also there's wisdom in having some type of fallback when you're starting, just so that you don't have to move in with your parents, or you don't have to take a step, cross a red line that you don't want to cross to move backward in your life. And so I think when possible, it's not always possible, but when possible, that's like a very prudent step as well, which is I'm hearing from your story. So that's awesome. You spoke about procrastination, big procrastination the other day on a video, and I laughed, and it was awesome. But obviously, procrastination is a huge thing. You spoke to that as being a challenge of entrepreneurship, and really just keeping the momentum. Momentum. I've heard you use that word a couple times. Give us some practical strategies of how do you keep the momentum up day to day? For yourself.
Part of it is totally just a decision that you have to make to do whatever is driving the business forward. So for me, if I want more real estate clients, what I need to do is connect with as many people as I can that are getting closer to buying a house, whether that's changing life stages or whatever. Same thing with postcards. I just got to reach out to more businesses. And so if I'm not doing that, then the rest of it doesn't matter right now, at least while I'm growing it. And because it's just me, that's what I have to do, or else I will lose all of the momentum. And so, I think part of it's just making the decision to put in the inputs that are driving the business forward.
Well, and you have to identify what those are.
Yes.
I feel like I'm hearing you say that too, and I'm going, so many people will start a business and maybe not have an idea of what actually is driving the success. At the end of the day, maybe they spend so much time building their website, and yet it has nothing to do with whether or not they get paid at the end of the month.
100%.
You have to identify that thing that if this is here, you're good. If it's not, your business is meaningless. And so often I think we can spin our wheels on other things, thinking that, and maybe that's just procrastination, just itself. That is the definition right there. But we can spin our wheels thinking, oh, this is gonna make my business better, and yet it's really no one gives two craps about that until you actually get a client or whatever.
I think it is procrastination, doing those things. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, how do I use AI to do everything for me? How do I just...
And everyone's doing that right now, but
I'm like, I wonder if I can make $1 billion with AI selling real estate for me,
Right.
And just spent so much time on that sort of stuff.
It's a great example,
They weren't necessarily bad things to do. Like building a website is not a bad thing.
No.
But because I mean, if I'm not going out and finding clients, I'm not going to get any clients. Business isn't coming to me. So
it's kind of putting the big rock. I mean, have you seen the rock illustration? The jar, and then you put the big rocks in the bottom. I forget who did that, but you put the big rocks in, and then you can pour in the AI stuff on top, or whatever you're experimenting with on top as sand, right? And it can just kind of filter through. But if you miss those major things every day, those big rocks, you just lose everything. So. Okay. No, that's fantastic. I'm curious. One of the things that's helped me in the last couple months as I've gotten started with my own firm as well, my own entrepreneurial journey has been continuing to come back to. Have you ever read Simon Sinek, Start With Why? Okay, it's a good book, and it was a book that we ran on with the firm that I worked at just prior to starting my own firm, and it's a book called Start With Why, and essentially the premise is if you get the why right in your head, everything else flows from there. No matter who you are, employee, entrepreneur, and apply it to any area of life. Get your why right, and the results will follow that. And so I'd be curious if you were able to put into a few words, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What about your job, or what about your multiple ventures, just life in general? What is that motivates you? I would consider that to be your why in
Yep.
Simon Sinek's words. But
Yep.
how would you say that?
It used to be just the raw output goals, like I want to make $100,000 or I want these things. I realized that pursuing those things overwhelmed me when I didn't achieve them, and it discouraged me a lot. I mean, I'm a Christian, and so I also believe I'm made in the image of God, and that I should strive to be like God.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the Bible, there's so much about hard work and doing things with excellence and stewarding time and money properly. And so my motivation, I guess, my why shifted from I want these things to I want to be like, I want to be the way that God made me to be. And that is using my creative abilities, using my imagination, working hard, all those things. And whatever result comes from that, I'll take.
Right.
And I will step out in faith with that, no matter, I just want to work hard and be obedient. And whatever comes my way, comes my way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's fantastic. It reminds me of the quote. I think I've even said this in Ben's episode too. It's just on the mind. But duty is ours, results are God's.
Yeah.
Like we get a chance to put our hand to the work, and yet without any promise of future, like what that will net out to be. And ultimately, as I've come back to many a time in my business as a Jesus follower as well, with that worldview, I think is, unless the Lord, like it says in the Psalms, unless the Lord builds the house, the laborers labor in vain. Unless the Lord builds the business, I think you could also say the laborers labor in vain.
Yep.
Like this is ultimately, I believe, God's business, and I'm a steward. I get to play on the playground, if you will, and go out there and have a good time.
Yep.
And this is my passion. At the end of the day, we are getting the opportunity to partner with God and adding value, bringing order, creating something beautiful out of a very broken world, and within a very broken world. And so, but I think linking it back to that, I hear you, linking it back to your faith and your spiritual journey as well. I think that's really important. Are there other things like on a more surface level about real estate, client service, even the community building that I heard you allude to, that you would say, oh, these are other things that I'm really passionate about what real estate means for people value-wise, or what advertising and marketing means for people? Yeah,
I'm a huge believer in community.
Okay.
And I love Conway, and I want to see Conway flourish.
Yeah, amen.
And part of Conway flourishing is their businesses flourishing. And so I want people to be bought in on Conway businesses. I think that applies to real estate as well. I mean, when I see a rundown house that it's not livable,
right,
say, why not sell that and either tear it down or fix it up or whatever to put another house that someone can live in at. I think that good quality real estate makes the city safer. Good businesses make the city flourish and makes people happier. All these things. I think community is huge, and I just love Conway, and so I want to enjoy Conway, and so if I want to enjoy Conway, I want other people to do the same thing, and so everything I do, I want that to be a part of it. So.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's huge. Okay, so maybe last question for this episode. How would you counsel somebody who's maybe they're in high school, maybe they're in college, young guy or gal who's trying to process through? I mean, they could honestly be mid-career. It happens all the time where people are just, they've got this stirring inside them. They're trying to self-discover themselves. Kind of, sometimes they're praying a lot. They're asking a lot of mentors questions. They're trying to figure out, like, is entrepreneurship something for me? It's a question a lot of people are asking, I think, and more.
Yeah.
What would you leave them with in terms of considering that maybe a challenge or a thing to consider?
Yeah.
Anything that comes to mind there?
Yeah. I think that it's important for people not to be sold a huge dream with entrepreneurship, because it's not I mean, it's not easy to do.
Right.
I think as long as they realize how hard entrepreneurship is and how hard they are going to have to work, I say if they're okay with that, then I say do it 100%.
Yeah.
Because if they're prepared to work, then I mean, that's what you need. And if you're not prepared to work more than you want or harder than you want, then I don't think you can. I mean, I would say don't risk it.
Totally.
I mean, don't quit your job if you're not ready to do whatever you can to
whatever it takes,
get business. And I'd say for the person that has decided to go into entrepreneurship, my advice is to let everyone that you can know about it. I mean, text everyone in your network, post on social media, advertise your face off until there's no one that can say that they haven't heard of you.
It's awesome.
So got that from Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
He's my guy when it comes to that stuff. So
well, a lot of those guys online that have been so valuable to both of us, I think, as we followed them, a lot of it, they do say this old adage, where attention goes, money flows.
Yeah.
And I do think it is like just introducing people to your value proposition, whatever that is. Because you are giving someone, if you're ethical and full of integrity and you really want the best for people, it's like you are giving them something of value that they should know about. Like, why not? You know? Like, 100%. And so don't ever be ashamed of doing that. You got to reframe it in your mind of like, we need to bring some attention to this cool thing that's going on, you know?
Yes.
And like do whatever it takes.
Yes.
So I love that.
I would add 100%. I would add that to mine too, to my answer. That you do have something, you know, like assuming you have something that you're wanting to sell, like you've got to assume that it's valuable.
1,000%.
And if you don't believe in what you're selling, like don't sell that.
Totally.
I mean, you just can't. And why would you, if you believe in it, why would you have any shame in letting people know about it? You know, so like, why would you not just ask everyone you can?
Sure.
Or tell everyone you can about what you're doing? Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
I love that. I love that. Well, Heath, we're going to talk about your printing business in the next episode. Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah.
And we'll look forward to the next time.
Yeah. So, let's do it.
Okay.